Yo, what's up, Miles?
Hey, Brian.
Oh, hey.
Real quick, I just want to thank everybody and say that I think I want to nominate this award to my Reformed Christian priest, Jim Ryan. Thank you. Good night.
And Jim Ryan accepts the award. So if everyone has 20 to 35 minutes free, I'm sure he has a few words for us. Ready to do that. Damn, dude. We've got a lot of shit to talk about today, and this whole pre-show thing isn't going so well. So I say, let's start the show.
About.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. This is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we film live every single Monday, West Day, and Two Wise Friday. Everyone's got to have a day, Miles. Everyone's got to have a day. We couldn't just have one day where it wasn't ridiculous. Every day is going to be ridiculous. We do it live right here on YouTube, 6 p.m. Eastern, for your viewing pleasure. And then Jay Meow gets this thing up loaded on podcast services of your choice. Yes, that includes Spotify. If you're wondering why you didn't know this was on Spotify, we were also wondering why you didn't know this was on Spotify. Podcast services of your choice, including Spotify, for your, that's right, oral pleasure. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here, PSVR without Parole. And this gentleman to my right, all the way on the other side of the pond, looking fresh out of the shower, still, some might say, potentially still in the shower. I think you're still dripping wet, Miles.
I should have got a hairdryer. No, yeah, I mean, I literally, it was 5 minutes to go. I actually text Brian at 10:02 going, I'll be 5 minutes, as I was getting in the shower. And I thought this is going to be, a photo finish, but obviously that would be inappropriate. Brian, look, it's been one hell of a week. I mean, you do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday GamesCast Live. Great to see all you Game Cats here. Love you all. But yesterday, being Thursday, it was the Game Awards. And then when was Upload VR? Was that Wednesday? That was on Wednesday as well, though. So you did actually not do anything on Tuesday. So Tuesday was the day off. But you just had double shows on Wednesday.
That's right. And you did something special, man. So whereas a lot of us just sat home and watched the Game Awards, I sat here and streamed it for a bunch of awesome Game Cats who decided to watch it with us instead of watching it over on the official channels. You went above and beyond, man. You did something different. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, I have to give credit to my good friend Luke Wright. He was the co-singer in my band Schemata Theory, ex-band now. He managed to get tickets for the Game Awards London. Jeff Keighley, I believe a few weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago, tweeted saying, this year we're having a special event in London. The Game Awards will be broadcast live at the IMAX at the BFI, which is in central London in Waterloo. You could apply for tickets and then do a +1. And it was done on a raffle basis. And it does mean here in the UK, it was starting at 12:30 a.m. So technically it was today. And right. And then it finished after a few long speeches. We left at 4 a.m. And I have to say, I was really worried this week because I've been quite unwell earlier in the week, just came down with a cold and stuff. And then also I had a really busy work day. And, I finished work at like 7 o'clock. Had to get in town, my local town, for like 8 p.m. Then we drove in, got some food, getting ready and stuff for it at midnight. And there's a question of like, am I going to be able to stay awake for this? Normally I'm at the comfort of my own home that if I'm struggling, I can just tune in. And also it's nice to be a part of a live chat. And I did have you guys loaded up on my phone for a little bit, but then obviously as it started, I was just watching it on the big screen, and I am so glad I went. It was amazing, and I would love to go again next year. And I would recommend anyone who has an opportunity to do it because, jokingly, the closest you're going to get to seeing flat screen games in in a VR experience is on the IMAX. It's so massive. And before the show actually started, they had their own commercials. They were playing gameplay for Spoken and also Dead Space. And I tweeted about it with Dead Space. Seeing that on the IMAX, like with how claustrophobic it is with that third-person view over the shoulder, man, the Dead Space remake just looked incredible. And I joked saying, I mentioned it with IMAX tagged and Emotive Studios. And they both got back to me. And I said, oh, IMAX, when I get my copy for my PS5, can I bring it along to your screen and you let me plug it in and play it that way? And they said, we'll see. Which obviously is jokingly, but I'm going to really put some pressure on them for that, because the idea of playing Dead Space on a big screen like that would be an amazing experience. But, we can dream. But if not, I guess you just play it with a VR headset on. And what do you think, Brian? I know we're going to talk about the Game Awards, but I am going to go a bit off-piste here. Surprise, surprise. Do you think that playing flat screen games on PSVR2 is actually going to be an amazing experience because of the high fidelity?
No.
No, you don't think?
No. I mean, there's a whole segment of cats out there who fucking love playing flat screen games in their headset using the cinema mode. I tried that a few times. There were games that supported 3D TVs that were like, oh, let's check to see if these work in 3D with stereo. I mean, here we are with the stereoscopic HMD. Why the fuck wouldn't they? And they didn't. So here I am wondering, like, why would I want to do that? Right? Like, I don't know, man. Like, there's a certain level of friction for VR. And so if I'm playing something that doesn't require VR, then I want to put my feet up on my couch, put my blanket around me, and play with a DualShock or DualSense, and then also be completely distracted by playing on my phone the whole time. I have zero desire for that. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be anything special.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But
the Game Awards, how did you find it, Brian?
Fine. It was
fine.
It was long, man. Okay, so this is my only problem with the Game Awards.
It was going to be shorter this year. It was going to be shorter this year.
Yeah,
and then there was a complication.
My only problem with the Game Awards, Miles, I don't have a problem with giving away awards on the Game Awards. I don't have a problem with premieres. I honestly don't even have that much of a problem with like the orchestras and all of the ridiculousness that goes on, like Al Pacino being one of the presenters. Like, that's so irrelevant. Like, Al Pacino gets on stage and goes, I just want to let you guys know that I don't play video games. And we're like, well, then now for a second I was like, well, maybe there's a reason you're here, and you just clarified that there's not. Right? So I think if the Game Awards was 2 hours long instead of 3.5 or whatever it was, if they just shortened everything, truncated everything, and just kind of zip through it, it would have been really exciting, because there were a lot of reveals and a lot of cool things last night. But unfortunately, it was all sort of marred by the experience of having to just kind of slog through it, man.
So Jeff Keighley was asking, as he always does, how would you grade it from A? It was 4 options on Twitter: A, B, C, or D or below. I would give it a strong B. And for me, I think it's definitely gone the step in the right direction. I think it was much better paced. But I do think what makes something A grade is also to do with your own personal preference with games. There was a lot of great reveals on it. I've never played the original Hades, so I didn't really have a huge, strong connection to the sequel, but I can totally see why it blew people's minds. Yeah. I actually loved Death Stranding. Death Stranding 2, it looked great, but the reason Death Stranding was so amazing when it was first announced, the original, was because we didn't know what it was, and there was all this really cryptic stuff of what do these videos mean. Right. We kind of know what Death Stranding is now. Yes, okay, we don't know what this sequel is going to be, but I kind of... it just didn't really blow me away. But the thing that I did find quite remarkable, and even more so afterwards, for a reason I'll give it in a moment, was this was an incredibly PlayStation-heavy showcase. Yeah. Not just because the fact that Xbox, I think one of the only Xbox things I really saw was one of the commercials, which was like a highlights reels of all these, Stalker and... Starfield, all these games, Xbox was hardly there. But the thing that made me realize it even more afterwards was our live stream in the IMAX didn't start until after they had shown Call of the Mountain. They'd done a promo for Call of the Mountain and Returnal coming to PC. So seeing like The Last of Us Part 1 coming to PC, there was a lot of other pieces throughout which were incredible and very PlayStation heavy. Some people have argued that it could have been confused as being a PlayStation showcase. Obviously not quite there, but for a Game Awards, and especially when we think of how protective PlayStation is with, we might just give them a few things here or there. They were really dominant, and I thought we'd get one PSVR2 title. I know we're going to be talking about them today, but the Behemoth trailer was fantastic.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, British person sitting across from me. How did you pronounce the name of that game?
Behemoth, Brian. It won't happen again.
I didn't know if this was like a garage situation.
No.
All right. No. Listen, we got some cats in the chat with their own opinions, which are way more valid than mine usually. Ramio, the game cat, right with the 60 euros. Thank you very much for your support. My friend, my love. He's never giving me money again now that I called him my love. He says, you're all wrong because you are on the internet, and ChatGPT explained to me internet people are usually wrong. I don't disagree with that, Belramio. Internet people are usually wrong. I'm wrong frequently. We're internet people, Miles. Also, Game Awards sucked. All I wanted was Final Fantasy 16 release date, and they made me wait and sit through he wrote 4, but it felt like 7 hours of advertising. I mean,
well, yeah, like Final Fantasy 16 was another big reveal. We knew the creator was coming, and that's great. But it wasn't like a brand new reveal. Like Death Stranding 2, we kind of knew it was in the works. The other title he's working on, assuming it's going to be this horror game, that would have been really interesting to see. Something like Metal Gear Solid remake, all these kind of things, that would have been great.
But the reveals were great, though. I thought that they actually showed a lot of good stuff. Well, I remember last year being really disappointed and saying, who cares, more mobile, more this, more that. Like, it was just a lot of stuff that I couldn't care less about, and I think most of our community didn't care about either. This year, as far as good flat screen games, I thought they showed off quite a bit of stuff, dude. I really don't think I could be any more excited to play Judas, the new game by Ghost Story Games, who are the team from Irrational that made BioShock. That looks like a spiritual successor to BioShock. Like, I'm so excited to play Judas because not only does the trailer look amazing, but I know the pedigree behind it. I know the people behind it that made BioShock, the game that inspired this game. They made that game. Like, Ken Levine is heading up the studio. And so I couldn't be any more excited about that unless they said, also playable on PlayStation VR 2. And then I would just fucking die of a heart attack long before I get a chance to ever play it, right? That would be the best situation I could possibly imagine. But that was just one of many reveals. Death Stranding 2 looked great. I've never played Death Stranding 1, but I know everyone's excited about it. There's a lot of good stuff last night. It's just the pacing was just so painful for me that I was like, just speed it up, man. Just speed it up, and I think we'll all enjoy it a whole lot more. I would give it an A if they had just sped the whole thing up to about 2 hours.
Yeah. I thought the pacing was a lot better, and it could be improved, and I think it will improve year on year.
I agree.
But I also think the pacing was off because Jeff Keighley was worried about all the Steam Decks they were having to hand out after that 9-minute speech, and you could tell he was racing it, and so that made it a bit iffy. There was also issues with the teleprompter where people couldn't even read the teleprompter.
Well, I mean, Al Pacino, I think, just forgot his glasses.
Well, no, there was a few other people that struggled as well, to be fair. Well, which might be because they forgot their glasses as well. So yeah, but yeah, no. So like overall, I thought it was an excellent event. I actually like the fact they do some awards and then there's some of them they do in the quick way.
Yeah.
This is what it is. It is an award show. Excellent.
Yeah. A couple more opinions in the chat on this kind of stuff. We got Josh Cat with the $5 tip. He says, we are talking too long about the Game Awards. It's F grade, not enough VR. Done. Sort of agree with you. We're going to have to move on to the actual things that were discussed. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €5 says, I think 3 VR games they featured yesterday will be the main contenders for VR Game of the Year 2023. That's very interesting. He thinks Ghostbusters, Horizon, and Behemoth. will be the Game of the Year contenders. Interesting. Stykes, the VRAF Game Cat Rare with the 5 euros says the Game Awards even got a mention in the German news radio, which are always super serious. They mentioned some winners and called them the Gaming Oscars. The Gaming Oscars, Miles. That's pretty serious shit. Probably because Al Pacino was there. They were like, we got to cover this shit.
Right, yeah. And you're right. What was his relevance specifically? Yeah.
Oh.
But if they can get... I know what you mean, but I do think that if this is a transitional thing to just get things more mainstream, then do it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's just so awkward. Everybody was like, "Oh, are you in a game? Did you do voiceovers for something? Right. Did you do no? We just there."
I'd love it if he actually. Yeah, I'd love it if he actually. I'd love it if he actually is in a new game, but he just forgot to mention it. There was so much else going on. They just, oh yeah, like Jeff Keighley today's going. Oh, by the way, we were supposed to announce he is actually, you know, in the Witcher sequel. You know, for whatever.
Let's answer the question at hand, though, Miles. Josh76 over on Viewer Takeover. If you don't already join our Discord, that's not how you say that. If you're not already a member of our Discord, make sure you click the link in the description below. And if you want to get one of your questions on the show, the easiest way to do it, just put it in Viewer Takeover, and that's how you do that. Real simple stuff. Josh76 with a Viewer Takeover question wrote, "Why didn't PSVR2 have more presence, with the exception of Horizon Call of the Mountain, at the Game Awards?" It's funny, right? So many people saw the Behemoth trailer and hadn't really been keeping up and didn't know it was also a PSVR2 title, and so they were like, "Oh, it's a Quest game," right? And
that was my first reaction. I was sat next to my friend Luke, and as soon as it went to the end, I thought, surely that's going to be PSVR2, and it wasn't listed anywhere. A lot of them did have at the tail end just Meta Quest, so have Meta just done some kind of deal? With all of them saying, yes, you know,
yes, Meta threw some money around, and to make sure that those trailers for Ghostbusters and for Behemoth were branded with the Quest intro and the Quest logo at the end. That's the easy answer, right? Quest threw some money out here, and so to have Call of the Mountain being the only true representative of PlayStation VR2 at the Game Awards last night was a little bit disappointing, right? Because here we are 2 months away from the launch of PSVR2. Like, Quest 2 is like tired, man. Like, people are getting, like, even big fans of Quest 2 are getting tired of it, being like, okay, it's time to move on. We need something a little bit more impressive here, right? So a lot of people are excited about PSVR2 for that reason. And so it's when does the marketing begin, if not last night? We're 2 months away. This would have been the perfect time to kick it off. Obviously, Sony's got their own plans. And I'm sure there's people out there who have been listening to me say, Sony's got their own plans, because I'm just trying to use common sense, but without any actual knowledge of it. So there's people out there going, yeah, Brian, you've been saying that for a year. And so at what point am I just going to be wrong that Sony doesn't have their own plans, right? Do we have to wait until next month to give PlayStation 5 its second holiday season and then fucking hit the ground running with PSVR 2 in January, ramping up for the launch only a month later?
It would have been a PlayStation showcase had those had PSVR 2 slapped on them as well, though, right? Because it doesn't really leave much else without. So maybe they were like, all right, PlayStation, yeah, we're going to have to give some space to someone else. I mean, I sort of joke that, but then actually that probably is some consideration that's made. You know, Jeff Keighley is there to keep all aspects of the gaming companies happy, especially at a time when we're seeing these legal battles taking place. I mean, I think it was yesterday that the FCT is suing Xbox or Microsoft because of the Activision acquisition that they're trying to undertake. I mean, it was a bit of a weird day in the gaming industry, because you had that. And then also, I follow a lot of people that are from IGN. IGN had a lot of people laid off yesterday.
It's sad.
Of all days to do it. Absolutely devastating. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird day yesterday. So, you know, the role of Jeff Keighley is, and some people say, oh, it just means you've got to be a suck up to everyone. It's like, no, it is a celebration of the gaming industry. I think the first time I ever watched the Game Awards was the year when they had Sean Layden. They had PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo representatives on stage together, all three of them, and they said a piece about the importance of coming together for gaming. I can't remember the last time I'd ever seen that happen, and it was a really special event. I thought this is a great celebration of gaming and coming together. So that might come into play as well.
I don't know, Miles. I don't know. Definitely be keeping a close eye on whatever Sony does. They've obviously, the only thing we've actually heard from them about PSVR2 is that they'll be announcing the launch lineup on the PlayStation blog soon.
Yes,
And so hopefully they do that this month. So if they are waiting until January, if they're waiting until after the holidays to really kick off the PSVR2 stuff, just at least give us the PlayStation blog post this month. Let us know what's coming. So the people who I don't know if you saw, Miles, you can now just pre-order a PlayStation VR2 headset on direct.playstation.com. Like, you don't need an invitation anymore. It's official. I think it's been like this for about 2 days, but it was like kind of slowly opening up to other regions.
Same in the UK. I got my friend Johnny the link. He's tried it tonight, and it says something's gone wrong. There's an error message, so he can't seem to get it to work. I don't know if anyone in the UK in the chat has been able to pre-order in the last day or two. I just told him to try again tomorrow. Maybe it's because they've got high traffic and things like that. But yeah, exciting.
Yeah.
Democratization. Everyone now has the option within those regions to log on and get your pre-order in, which I had some sense that was going to be the case eventually. Didn't want to say it because, it seemed very strict to begin with, but I'm really glad they've opened it up.
Yeah, we don't want to steer people wrong, man. So while it seemed logical, that's the last thing we would want to do. All right, man. So what's one more tip? We got Belrami the Game Cat round with a $6 tip. Says, "Be careful," or Al Pacino introduces you to his little friend. I would be very careful. Miles, let's quickly go over the 3 trailers that we saw yesterday. I would venture to say 2 of them were teasers. Only one of them was a trailer. So let's start with the big boy. I'm gonna go switch over to full screen here, and we can play this Horizon Call of the Mountain teaser that we got. While I'm bringing it up, though, it was nice. It was nice. You didn't see this, right? You said the show didn't start for you until after this. After this, part of the pre-show, or what was this?
I don't know if this. I think this might have come on before the show. Yeah, it might have been a couple, or maybe they started off with a couple ads. It's always difficult to know because depending on where you're watching the stream, people have their own preambles, don't they?
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, I'm watching it now though, and
39 seconds long, and this is the wrong one. Let me try this again. Yeah. I'm gonna crash.
Oh, is this the wrong one? Because I'm looking at the Game Awards teaser trailer, so that wasn't it. No, that was from 22 hours ago.
No, you got the right one from 22 hours ago. I got the wrong one. And so so what shows you for the first time, I don't believe, I could be wrong, I don't know if the original trailer showed off any of the snowier areas. It was all sort of the same kind of like rocky, deserty kind of areas. And this seems primarily focused on combat, which I know is a big concern for a lot of people. And so unless this teaser is steering us wrong, most of the combat scenes show more than one machine that you're fighting. In fact, there were 3 in one of the last arenas that they showed off. So I'm wondering if this was sort of just like a subtle thing to be like, don't worry, combat's more exciting than just spinning around in circles. Like,
right, exactly. That has been the concern of fighting one at a time. It's that whole thing of being in a controlled situation. What makes gaming an immersive experience is the feeling of freedom, of being able to be in control of your destiny, of what you do in that combat situation, not I'm just doing a sequence that's been laid out before me. So this trailer definitely gives that sense that there are situations, although the cynic could say, oh, that bit where there's multiple enemies, that could be just a part of the animation. You're still fighting one at a time, but then another one runs past and sort of waits on the side, cheering the fight on.
Yeah, I mean,
the side.
We've actually seen that in older like brawlers and stuff, beat 'em ups, like where it's like, even though there were multiple characters on screen, only one would kind of sort of come up to you at a time. So it's possible. Anything is possible. I will say in the one in the snow that just passed as I was doing this doesn't help anybody, I swear. You were aiming, the player was aiming at one of them, and then another one came up on the right. And it looked like, okay, now this is your primary concern. It's like, don't worry about the one you were just aiming at, like switch your focus. So I mean, still very, very curious about it. This is cool though. It was nice that they sort of focused on the enemies, on combat, and showed off the more exciting things we might experience in this. And Miles, I was the guy who was saying, "Don't show me any more Horizon. I don't need any more Horizon. I'm sold." And the second they showed me more Horizon, I was like, "This is amazing. Thank you so much for showing this to me."
Every time, agreed.
Yep. Which brings
and
us,
actually,
yeah,
with Horizon Forbidden West, that was the exact same feeling. Every time they were showing more, I was like, I'm ready for the game now. But every time they showed more, I was like, I'm really glad they did. So yeah.
Nice. I think this next one was probably one of the more anticipated trailers that we were waiting for, because we had been talking about Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord for a very long time, Miles, prior to getting any footage. Not only did they announce it was happening, and then took a little while, and then we got the teaser, which wasn't actual gameplay, and then we got some key art in the full name reveal. And so they've really been trickling this shit out for a while now. And so we were like, just show us the gameplay, man. Show us the gameplay. And this, of course, as you just saw, was another one, branded with the Meta Quest 2 introduction, and obviously Meta Quest 2 graphics. What was your impression after seeing this? Finally saw gameplay. What do you think?
Yeah, so this happened during one of the commercial breaks, didn't it, on the Game Awards? It was done as a commercial in that
It was
period.
done as a commercial, which felt like these are the moments where you kind of almost tune out, right? You're like, oh, this is going to be shit that we've seen before. This isn't going to be a brand new announcement. And instead, here it is. This is kind of one of the bigger things we'd been waiting for, and it was revealed as a commercial, which was disappointing, I think.
Yeah, my honest reaction when I saw this and seeing it on a big screen was, graphically, I was disappointed, because obviously the first trailer we had was the sort of it was a cinematic, in-game cinematic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That had a lot more mood and feeling to it. On this, I feel like all the parts of the game, it feels well, some of the scenes are pretty cool, but some of it looks it's very cartoony, and the sort of, it's very, it feels like there's a lot of space. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of mood and atmosphere, which I was expecting. However, this is on the Quest, I'm guessing, the footage.
Yeah.
I don't know. My feeling is the PSVR2 version is going to be superior. Because they're going to have better hardware, and I'm not one of these people that normally plays that card, because I'm like, no, I think PSVR2 is going to be great, but I've never been on the Meta Quest, and it'll be good for what it is. In this situation, that was my thought in real time as I was watching it, which is, I think this is just Meta Quest. I think it's going to look a lot better on PSVR2. Not only that, when you wear a headset and you're in the games, it feels a lot different as well. So, and I hate to be critical, because I love End Dreams. I'm really excited for this game. I think it's going to be amazing, but that was my honest reaction when I saw it.
Well, let's check in with the chat and see their honest reactions. Brandon McLean says, why are people hyped about Ghostbusters? The first one was trash. The first one on Commodore 64 was kind of trash. You're not wrong. Also, this isn't made
I loved it on Master System. The Master System Ghostbusters game was amazing.
Yeah, and I'm lying. I fucking love the Commodore 64 one. That I was just making a joke about which one was the first Ghostbusters game. Master System was the best version of those, by the way. So you're right. We're hyped, Brandon, because this is the first Ghostbusters game made by End Dreams, and End Dreams has a great pedigree. They've obviously made Fract and Shooty Fruity and that kayak game, Phantom VR Ops, whatever the hell the generic name that they used was. Covert Ops, Phantom Covert Ops. Is that right? I don't know, man. But they make great games, right? And that's why despite everything, despite the slow rollout of information, despite the slow rollout of finally seeing footage, and even footage that we're not like terribly excited by, it's End Dreams, and because it's End Dreams, we have confidence that they're going to make it fun. Because I'm sure you saw in the chat, Josh Cat was in the chat saying, "Let's hope it's fun because it looks terrible."
This game is one of my top 5 go-to games with PSVR 2. I'm super excited about this. It's a social co-op multiplayer experience. That's what I love in VR, and Ghostbusters is awesome. And the idea of using proton packs and throwing the trap across the ground.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I can't wait.
There's so much nostalgia here. As a kid, I wanted to be a Ghostbuster. I was like, this has to be a profession I can be one day, right? This has to be a thing. And I love the animated series, and I love the movies and everything else. And so finally getting to be a Ghostbuster. I mean, we dealt with a lot of crappy Ghostbuster games over the years, even a couple bad ones in VR. The Firehouse and whatever the second one was called, not worth remembering. I promise you that. This is. Hopefully they can make my childhood dreams come true. And just, feeling the PKE meter in my hands and actually holding the proton pack. I guess it would be more like this as they're explaining. It's going to be great, man. I'm like, it's going to be great just to do that. Now, hopefully the gameplay delivers, but it's going to fulfill a childhood dream. And for me, that's exciting enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gadgets look good. I think they probably could have named this like the gadget teaser, where they kind of show off the PKE meter, the trap, and the proton wand. So
I'm also jealous of the people that got to be in the commercial with the actual gear on. Amazing.
I'm not.
That'd been.
I'm not. do not want to be in this trailer, right? But everybody here, man, there's 256 people that would make fun of us until the end of time, Miles, if we were in this trailer.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you got to keep the Ghostbusters outfit.
Did they even wear Ghostbusters outfits?
Yeah, at the start.
That guy has a Hawaiian shirt. That girl has a yellow sweater. Hawaiian shirt.
But at the beginning they wear it. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to them wearing their other stuff.
I'm waiting.
It was right at the start, so you got to probably wait for it to go around again.
You know what? You know what I didn't notice, and I should have, because it's right in our fucking face. Is that there are four health bars or 4 health meters or whatever on the ghost that you're attacking, and so this looks like it's really forcing you to be a team player. It's like all 4 of you need to take down your part of the ghost. I'm assuming that's what it is. You all got to get in there with your proton wands.
Braxbro says in the chat, I'd only make fun of you because I would be jealous. Respect for the honesty.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be in the trailer. I would. Because I don't care what people think of me. I figured that out a long time ago. Blast Cat games for me. Should have thought about that one before I tried to read it out loud. Thank you for constantly changing your name and keeping me on my toes. The $5 tip says, I want a Ghostbusters game that looks like the first film. This might be fun, but it won't be close to what it should be. Blah. And I do agree, man. Like, in a perfect world, I would love a more photorealistic Ghostbusters. The first film was fantastic. It had like that air of actual horror with like comedy thrown in to like sort of lighten the mood. But I took that movie seriously when I was young. I was scared of it. But I had a great time with it too. So, and I do think that Ghostbusters deserves a little bit better. But again, we don't want to judge it too harshly because this could be super fun.
Ghostbusters 2 scared the hell out of me as a kid. That painting that came to life, that
Vigo,
took
the
baby. Oh my god! Honestly, I remember being absolutely terrified.
Yeah, well, he takes babies. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't the bit when the baby's going like out the window and along the edge of that? Yeah.
Yep.
And then the ghost from the sky with the pram.
Yeah. Very Wicked Witch of the West stuff. Yep.
Oh.
Miles is going to sleep tonight. All right, man. And then, of course, that brings us to, I mean, it sounds so dumb to say this. It was the most impressive trailer, but it was also the only one without any gameplay. It was all CGI. So let's bring up the new trailer from Skydance Interactive for their upcoming game called Behemoth. The cinematic trailer, here it is. This is a Miles for showing no actual gameplay. This is an exciting as fuck trailer.
Yeah, well, actually, because I've started using Twitter a bit more recently, Jeff Keighley did one of these. Are they called Spaces on Twitter, where they do like a voice chat and you can listen in and ask questions? And I didn't quite get a chance to. Yeah, Twitter. But the question I wanted
still around.
But the question I wanted to ask Jeff, and I didn't unfortunately get the chance to, and I will do sometime, is firstly I was going to ask, is he excited for PSVR 2? But the other question I wanted to ask him was, what are his thoughts on the best way for VR games to promote themselves on a show like the Game Awards, you know, when people are watching on flat screen? Yep. And this kind of answered a bit of that for me, because this doesn't show any in-game. And I think it worked. It's got me excited about it. Like, there's no gameplay, and I'm sold on the style, the tone, and yeah. I mean, watching it again now, it's just like awesome.
Yeah.
So it shows you that VR games can be marketed like regular games. I think it's because VR being a new format, it's always the sense of a VR game commercial has two jobs. It's to sell the game, but it's also to sell the VR.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that haven't experienced VR yet. It's now going to, and I think it used to happen with computer games as well. It was always, the video game being played by a kid, to show them like this is a kid interacting with the game and they're controlling the character. Wow, you press this button, it does that. And now it's just like, no, this is the game. We know what it does. And this is showing a maturity in the way that VR games are now promoted. And I think that's actually quite a big thing.
Yeah, and if we're taking the CGI, like obviously I think we all would have preferred like just show us the fucking game, right? But we don't know how far along in development it is. We don't know if there's any kind of vertical slice that would allow us to see what the finished product is supposed to look like. Highly doubtful, right? But what I think this is showing us is not only the tone of the game, but also some of the things we'll be doing in the game, right? So, there's a part where he's like, kind of holding a torch and sort of making his way slowly through a cave. And so to have that sort of isolated experience, that solitary vibe where you're exploring and then finding these horrific things. Balramio, the Game Cat in the chat with the 250 says, looks too scary for me. Yeah, and I love the fact that they conveyed that in this CGI trailer, that it's going to be probably creepy, man. It's probably going to be pretty scary. And then there's going to be human-sized enemies that you're taking down. And then here at the end, it's like you get your character looking up and seeing the Behemoth, right? And you see this grappling hook where you're swinging from place to place. So not only is it going to be a traversal mechanic, but it looks like you're also going to be doing some Shadow of the Colossus stuff, actually trying to climb the enemy.
Yeah,
and because that was always amazing. It was always this Shadow of the Colossus was this big open world that was crazy and open and empty, and it kind of it conveyed this sadness and loneliness, but then it didn't feel like the level began, if you can call it that, until you got to the Colossus that you were fighting, and then the Colossus itself was a level within itself. And this trailer to me is conveying exactly that, saying this is the game you've been waiting for in VR, Brian. Like, there's shit to do on your way to the Behemoth, and then when you get to the Behemoth, it's a big fucking boss event.
Yes.
We just haven't seen that in VR yet, and hopefully this trailer is not leading me astray.
Right. There were so many IPs that crossed my mind when this trailer started playing out. Like at the beginning, it's quite Skyrim-esque. And then by the end of it, it was like, yeah, Shadow of the Colossus. And actually, that reminded me of the movie Troll Hunter in the middle. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I've seen the promos of it, but it had that vibe. And I mean, look, forget the fact it's promoting a game. This trailer as a piece of art looks incredible. It's just, and again, seeing it on a big screen, and the big screen we were watching was not 4K. This was a live stream feed that was being done on a big screen. Even then, it was still impressive. So, yeah. Super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we've got people in the chat are basically with us, but understanding the caveat that there is no guarantee. Say Hussein here in the chat says there's no guarantee at all that this trailer will actually reflect what the gameplay will be like. Brendan follows that up. Says it does look too good to be true, especially since it's for the Quest. Definitely a wait and see. And I will say, I think most of the discussion, I posted this trailer on the channel last night. Most of the discussion on the trailer in the comments has been, well, we shouldn't get too excited because this is also for the Quest 2. And I hate it. I hate saying that because yeah, like I think if this was unique to PC VR and PlayStation VR 2, I don't think we would be too far off from these CGI trailers. We'd be see something that was pretty close to these when the game is all said and done. But I don't know, as far as gameplay and as far as graphics, what the Quest 2 is capable of. or what Skydance is capable of making the Quest 2 do. So it does make me a little bit nervous. I don't want to discount the game just because of that, but I'm with you guys. I agree. I'm a little bit nervous because of that.
It just looks like a real maturity of the gaming space in VR, and I'm really, really excited. Hellblade was the other IP I was thinking of as I was watching it, in terms of the tone again. Gritty. Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that brings us to one of our other main stories of the day. I'm just going to bring up the article right here from The Verge. TheVerge.com posted some quotes from the Epic CEO, Tim Sweeney. And let's just bring that up right here. Right here. Is that... I don't know what's going on. That might be it. That might not be it. For whatever reason, OBS likes to make white backgrounds black and then makes things impossible to read. Yeah, like I said, impossible to read. Thanks, OBS. You're the best. But let's just read the article real quick here, Miles. It says, if you're waiting for Fortnite in VR, don't hold your breath. Epic Games has no plans to build it. CEO Tim Sweeney tells The Verge in our new interview. The reason? Sweeney just doesn't think it'll work well. The thing that we do in Fortnite every day as gamers is run through an environment rapidly, and it's the kind of experience that involves intense motion and doesn't work well in VR. Agree or disagree, Miles?
Disagree. Strongly. I mean, this is a conversation that's blown up on Twitter in the last few hours. I know AJ had shared the article earlier. I shared it. I actually tagged Tim Sweeney in the actual article, just where his name was, and he responded to me. He asked a very
awesome, by the way. It was really nice to see the CEO of one of the biggest gaming companies out there stop and go, well, educate me.
Right. Absolutely, and it really took me by surprise. And he basically said, I'll get it up here. He said to me, and he responded within 5 minutes. He said, "Is there a good VR game with fast shooter-style player movement that doesn't induce widespread motion sickness?" Now, this made me nervous because, as I mentioned earlier, I haven't really been active much on Twitter for many years. Had it off my phone and stuff, and so usually when I tweet. Actually, recently I've started to get a bit more engagement as I've been more active, but no one. I responded and I mentioned Alvo, and I know some of you are going to think that's not the best example that you could come back to a question like that with. But for me,
you run, you jump, which a lot of VR games don't even let you do that much.
You can, you mount up onto walls. You can slide. So I was thinking, like, from a basic perspective, it's a fast moving game.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of traversal, and I felt, and also, indie developers, if they've been able to achieve that, that's great. But Tim, obviously, massive CEO, he was getting his question retweeted and liked loads. I wasn't getting anything, and I thought, have I missed something here? Has he just made a really obvious point?
No, it shows his tweet, and I know you're probably going to say this anyway, but I'm just going to interrupt you to show my support, Miles. His tweet and the response that his tweet got showed us just how far deep VR still is buried by the mainstream media, by average gamers. So many people still just don't care about VR or have misconceptions that need to be cleared up. Right? Because people say, oh, it makes people motion sick. Oh, these games are just short tech demos. Oh, this is all it is. And then they just went fucking silent, man, and just assumed that the things that were probably true 6 years ago are still true today. And that's obviously not the case.
No, absolutely, Brian. Well said. And I would just encourage all game cats to get involved in this discussion and to come at it in good spirit. This is not, because my worry when I shared this on our Discord was, I don't want this to be a pylon. It's not about going, F you, Tim Sweeney, you're wrong. Like, I think this is a great opportunity. Am I saying that game cats, we can make Fortnite VR become a reality? Well, I'm not saying that we can't, but my point is that's not the objective of this conversation. This is actually to have a convo between some of the biggest developers. And actually, Denny Unger from Cloudhead, he responded an hour ago, and he said, Tim, if this is a real question, I would advise reaching out to a handful of OG VR developers that have deep insight into what causes vection and the best strategies for dealing with it. We're here to talk with a heart. And he went, the short answer is that you won't find one that completely deals with the problem bottom to top, but a lot of that comes down to well-meaning devs not understanding the underlying issues or taking the, there were, was it a climate? It's like a climatized approach, which is poison to the market. More to the point, some of us have spent the last 10 years in skunkworks-like projects trying to crack VR's WASD, which is for what? Do you know what that means? WASD, WASD. I'm trying to think what is it. It's going to be something to do with sickness and that. There are solutions, but they require the right approach. And this conversation is blowing up now. And so like I would say, get involved with this. Talk about the games. Talk about the games that have given you motion sickness as well. My personal experience with motion sickness, I've realised what it is for me. It's when I'm playing games where you're walking, but I'm playing it sat down. That, for some reason, doesn't compute. The first time I ever experienced PSVR was when I was at a gaming bar and I played Skyrim VR, and I was doing it sat down, and it didn't make me feel right. If there are games where I'm running about, I have to be stood up. I don't know. That's just some psychology with me of the association between moving at running. And if I'm in a driving game, I can do that sitting down. Again, it's the sort of association. But there are sort of two things at play here. It's the hardware that's improving. PSVR2, like the haptics in the headset, that's going to help with motion sickness. But it's also the game developers. Like, we're learning about, the whole point in VR is you're learning about the psychology of how the human brain works with perceptions. It's why you have foveated rendering. It's why you've got eye tracking. I said to Tim Sweeney, if you want to create a test of Fortnite VR and you need a test subject, put me in it, and I'll bring my own paper bag to vomit into.
It's just getting so old, man. Like, every single time you see a cool VR trailer, or somebody says, oh, hey, this would be great in VR, there's always some moron out there who has to respond, oh yeah, this sounds like it would be a total vomit fest in VR. I'm like, did you fucking play Rush of Blood, man? Like, this game that you play on a fucking roller coaster, right? Like a light gun shooter that you play on a roller coaster, didn't make even the most motion sick prone of us motion sick. I remember that was the first game that made Des go, I can totally handle movement when it's done well in VR. Even intense movement like Rush of Blood offered. So yeah, it's just getting really, really old, really tiring. To keep having these conversations, keep having to tell people, no, like, things have improved, things are getting better, and not everybody is susceptible to motion sickness. And also, I'm a little bit disappointed that Sony hasn't gone to Tim Sweeney and been like, hey, dude, PSVR2, we've got all these things, all these additions, and the tech is advanced far enough where we feel as though we're going to help solve motion sickness for a good percentage of people out there. Let's talk about Fortnite, right? And then show him a game like Sirento, which is the game that I kind of chimed in on your tweet.
Right.
And Sirento's got backflips and forward flips and triple jumps and wall running and all sorts of different crazy shit that, like, should make everybody sick. But a lot of people were able to handle it. And you and I play a lot of Fortnite, Miles. If there's two people out there two VR people out there who would be able to chime in on this conversation and say, would Fortnite VR really be testing the VR legs out there of the common VR gamer? I would say the answer is no. This isn't the game that's going to be testing people, right? There are far more difficult games to play out there than Fortnite. Even in first person, man, we've got battle royales in first person. We've got Pop Line over on Quest, and that doesn't seem to make anybody sick. And we've got all these other games over on PSVR with extreme locomotion. I mean, if Windlands doesn't make anybody sick, man, like, really, you're worried about running and climbing and jumping? Come on, absolutely not. It's totally fine. So I just feel I'm just getting real tired of this, man, and I'm a little disappointed in Sony for having already not stepped in and said, listen, we need Fortnite over here on PSVR 2, and let us show you what PSVR2 is capable of, so that some of these thoughts that you might be having about VR, we can put some of those to rest.
It is worth noting that the article is him just saying there are no plans for it yet. Plans can happen very quickly in Epic Games. Sure. That article literally could be sparking a conversation internally at Sony at the moment of like, oh wow, we've not made the case enough, or we're not going to be the only people that are reacting that way to this. And also, just to relate to a couple of things that have been mentioned in the chat. So the WASD is actually what I thought, but I thought it was VR related. It's to do with the keys on the keyboard. For W is forward, S is back, A left, D right. So thank you for clarifying that. But a lot of conversations about people's association with motion sickness. A lot of people have said they realize that they have a similar reaction that I do. I think it's like I used to get car sick a lot when I was a kid. And that's to do with the fact that like I got it when I was reading in the car. Mm-hmm. And it's because if you're reading, you're looking at something that's fixed in front of you, but your body is feeling the motion of something else. So it's that disconnect, or, in the corner of your eye, you're seeing something moving, but you're in a very still environment. So, there's a lot to it. And I also find in some VR games, I can feel a bit of motion sickness coming on, and I have to stop playing because if I can sometimes stick at it, but then if it gets really bad, I can't unlearn it. Whereas if it's a little bit and I go away and I can come back, sometimes I can get over it. But what was the Mech Warrior football game? I was going to call
Mech Warrior football game. Oh, Riggs.
It was Riggs. Yeah.
Wow.
So that gave me, but I think that was to do with the fact that one of the controls was it looks wherever you're looking, so you're controlling the Mech Warrior, but the whole head of the ship is just looking wherever you are, and that did not play well for me. But that was also one of my first VR experiences. Yeah.
I think my big takeaway from this conversation, Miles, is that I think this is opening or paving the way for a lot of indie developers out there to do exactly what they did on PlayStation VR 1, and that's make a name for themselves when the AAA studios just aren't fucking willing to go and do the thing we want them to do, right? So many different studios were able to step in. I don't know if First Contact Entertainment would have really had a business. They wouldn't have had a successful game if a lot of these flat screen first person military shooters kind of came in on the scene and said, well, here's your full-fledged game. First Contact comes in with Firewall and fucking dominates, right? So my question for all the developers out there who might be watching, there's no developers watching, Miles, we can say whatever we want, is who's going to step in and make our big battle royale game for PSVR 2 when Epic is scared that their game is going to cause motion sickness? Who's going to do that? So it's not going to be big box anymore because that studio was bought out by Meta. So who's going to step in? We don't have Pop One over here. We're going to need something. Somebody make a Fortnite clone and cash in big time.
Well, it's also worth noting that Tim Sweeney has been liking a lot of the suggestions made. He liked yours, didn't he, Sorrento, when you tweeted it?
Yeah. I mean, he liked my tweet.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's a fault. He's not there going, right, yeah, we're putting money behind Sorrento. But
right. No, Sorrento, Sure. Well, if Sorrento can do it, then here's Fortnite VR. Thank you, Brian, for clearing that up for us.
Yeah. But, no, I mean, look, I think this could turn out to be a really good conversation. I would just say everyone after the show, get involved in it. I'm seeing people already posting video footage of them playing and showing the experience. So this is kind of exciting. But yeah, the reason you were saying that we both play Fortnite, I've always been very open. I've had like 3 titles that would be sort of dream next gen VR titles. It's Destiny 2, Fortnite VR, or GTA Online VR. But if I had to choose out of the 3, Fortnite VR, hands down, just because I think it has so much scope for VR, not just because of the main game, but the creative mode and all the things that you have with that. So
those might be your 3 dream titles, but those are honestly the 3 games that would help propel VR into the mainstream. Those are about as mainstream gets, right? And I think the people who play those games would be very, very interested in to discover a new way to play them. So hopefully somebody picks up the slack here, and hopefully, luckily studios like Take-Two have already dabbled in VR a bit, right? They did the LA Noire, the VR case files. That was on Steam VR. That was on PlayStation VR. And that was certainly them dipping their toes in the water. So hopefully all is not lost. We got a couple tips here. I'm going to do them backwards because one is pertinent to this conversation and one is not. Balrami the Game Cat with the €6 says maybe he just uses motion sickness as an excuse, and the real reason is VR is not profitable enough yet for Epic, which could also totally be true.
There's no doubt when you think of the scope that Fortnite has and all the other titles they've got, Rocket League, Fall Guys. When you're at that size, it's about the margins and it's about scalability. And it's a fact, unfortunately, with any new industry, it's the indie developers that do all the hard work to build the communities, to build the tech, to build the IPs, to show how it works. And then they get absorbed by bigger companies who then go, great, you've proved it. We have the money and the resources now. Let's do it. Yeah. And yeah, I would say it's a completely legitimate argument. It's not one that I'm glad to sort of talk about, but Fortnite could leave it 4 years and then absolutely smash it. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, Fortnite can afford to take the wait and see approach. They can absolutely, they're extremely successful at what they're doing right now. They make like $1 billion a minute. And so I don't think they're in no rush to, divide up their user base and start risking their biggest IP in different ways. But also, yeah, I don't know. It's just disappointing is all, I guess. Hold on a second. Let me hashtag the now skint game cat. Please leave a comment somewhere with hashtag GameCat so we can give you a shout out on Monday's show. With the $2 says Apex Legends purely for the haptics with abilities. I've never played Apex Legends.
I played it when it first came out, and it was great. It was just one of these things of another great game that I'm just not going to invest my time in because you've got to choose something at the end of the day. But yeah, great show.
Okay, 2 more tips. We haven't made any progress, and then we're going to do 20 questions.
Keep tipping.
Professor Lilith with the $5 tip says, still debating this week's multiplayer. Join us after the GAMESCAST to see if Solaris Off-World Combat is still working. This is the second time I've heard somebody wondering if Solaris servers were still online. I didn't hear anything about them shutting down. Usually that makes the rounds on the news channels. So my bet would be that Solaris, despite the fact that no one's been playing it, and no one's been playing it since even when it launched, is probably still up and running. If you're not on our Discord, guys, don't forget to join our Discord because every Sunday, Professor Lilith runs our multiplayer meetup. And so there's a lot of games like Solaris that since day one, some people have owned and never been able to play multiplayer because the lobbies have always been dead, always been empty. This is your opportunity to put those games that you probably already own to good use, and then join us for our weekly Sunday multiplayer meetup. Apparently, they're still trying to figure out what game is going to be this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, but apparently also Solaris is in the running, which would be good. I love Solaris. Hopefully I'll be around Sunday. Man Bear Pig Game Cat with the $2 tip says, according to Back to the Future 2, VR is the future. According to anything sci-fi that we've ever seen in the last 40 years, VR is the future, and I agree. And then the one I've been holding off on saying because I feel like this is going to spark another conversation that I'm always a little bit nervous to get into, and that's that Izzard with the $2 says, boost. Nope, let's try that again. Quest boosted VR, but is now holding it back. I agree, man. I agree. I think that VR would be in a really, really terrible position right now. I'd certainly say things about Quest, in terms of its power in the capabilities of its games. You're dealing with a standalone headset with a cell phone processor and limited onboard storage, and so you are limited in the games that you can make, and how good those games can look, and how big those worlds can be. But I do think that Quest made an amazing impact on the VR world. I think there's more Quest 2s out there than any other headset probably combined. And so I think Quest was super, super, super important for the market. And I actually don't even blame Quest for holding the market back. I blame PSVR2 for not being out sooner, because that is, I think, what's finally going to propel us into the future. And so, this is kind of Sony's fault for not giving anyone an alternative. There should always be this cheap, convenient way to do anything, right? But you also need that alternative that gives you the premium, over-the-top, amazing console experience. So I kind of blame Sony. I'm thrilled that Quest and Meta, or Facebook, whatever you want to call them, got us to where we are today, with more people interested in VR than ever. Now we need to step it forward. I don't know. Hey, Miles.
Hey, Brian.
You want to play 20 questions?
Is it my turn again?
No, it's your turn to guess. It's your turn to guess. It's crazy. Yep. Yep. All right. Finally, it's my turn to host 20 questions, and you guys out there, yeah, get ready, because actually, I'm going to bring up the PlayStation Store listing, because I want to make sure I have all of the questions. I don't want to AJ the fuck out of this, man. I want to make sure that you have the answers you need, Miles, the second you ask them.
I need help with all the game cats in the chat, so put your questions, and I might use them. I might not.
That's right. Help Miles, man. He's going to need all the help he can get on this one.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Why OBS? Why do you hate me so much? OBS is like unaware at all that we're doing a show. The program is just like, do you want to do? No. How about I'm going to update right now. Is that okay? And I'm like, no, OBS, fucking stop it, dude. Okay. So, just do. Nope. Where the hell is the clock? I found it. All right. Here we go. Go.
Does it have multiplayer?
No.
Single player. Is it first person?
Yes. I don't know why I'd think about that.
Are there puzzles?
No.
No puzzles. Does it use analog sticks?
No.
Move controller. Is it a good game?
Yeah. That's 5.
Good game. Is the aesthetic realistic?
I would say, yeah, that's what they're going for.
Realism. Realism.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Is it PSVR exclusive?
It is not PlayStation VR exclusive.
Is it also playable on flat screen?
No, it's not.
No.
Also, hashtag the now skint GameCast says you AJ it more than AJ, Brian. First time watching, or did we find AJ's alt account?
It wouldn't be after the full because it's single player. Yeah, I was thinking about Wanderer, but there's no puzzles. It says so. No, it can't be that. Are you predominantly shooting a weapon in this?
No.
Nowhere. No. Do you drive a vehicle or control a vehicle?
Nope. That's 10.
No vehicle. Man. Just going to go through it all for everyone in the chat. So single player, first person, no puzzles, move controller. It's a good game. They've gone for realism. It's not a PSVR exclusive. It's VR only. No weapons. Or was that different to what I asked? I asked if it was shooting, right?
Yes, if it was shooting, yeah.
Yeah. Is there combat in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is combat. Okay. Is it predominantly using swords?
Yeah.
And is it predominantly involving a man or men?
Predominantly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And if you put the two things together of like swords and a man, so like I don't know, there must be a name for that, someone with that kind of role, like a swordsman. Would a swordsman be in this game?
That's really tough to say. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the cringiest thing ever to watch right now, Miles. This is painful.
So it's not Moss. Okay, it's not Moss.
Yeah, and we've also eliminated.
Is it swords?
We've also eliminated.
Is it
swordsman?
Whoa! Stop! No, I'm trying to say the name here.
Yeah.
Is it swordsman, Brian?
Is it Swords of Gargantua? Is that what you're asking? It is swordsman, Miles. It is swordsman.
Thank goodness. Doesn't matter how sure I am. I'm always nervous.
Yeah.
That's how the game is. There's real stakes here, guys. Real stakes.
Yeah, I mean, if you die in 20 questions, you die in real life.
That's it.
It's a shame. It's a real shame. Congratulations, Miles. Swordsman VR, but released by Sin Studio, all the way back in the year of our Lord 2020, September 25th.
Who was the first to get in the chat? Was it Looper, the Underground Game Cat, or was it said a bit earlier?
I hate to say I was not paying attention to the chat, but congratulations to whoever.
Yeah, Looper said it quite a few times. Yeah, I'm going to say it was going all the way back up. Yeah, Looper.
Looper's the grand master of 20 questions. Always getting the games early, keeping track of all the games that we've played. Very cool stuff. Very cool. Miles, it is time for us to end the show. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this very, very fine Friday evening. Catching up on all things Game Awards, PlayStation VR, PlayStation VR2. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Can I ask what the hell is going on over on youtube.com/Miles?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say it's been great, despite being sleep deprived. I didn't get back home from the Game Awards until like 6 a.m. And then even though I had today off work, I had some work to finish doing. So I was working this afternoon. I am definitely ready for bed. But in terms of my show, youtube.com/Miles, last week we were talking about artificial intelligence, because there are two things that are taking the internet by storm at the moment. One is an app called Lenser that people may have seen, where you upload 10 to 20 photos of yourself, and then machine learning generates, depending on what you pay for, up to like 100, 200 different brand new photos of you in different art styles. It's phenomenal. But there are some ethical implications, one of which being that some of the machine learning involves using artwork of artists that haven't consented to their work being used.
I've seen that.
And there's other people that go, does this take the sort of the sacredness out of artwork? But then I remember when Instagram was first made, people were saying, photography isn't sacred anymore. No, there's always a need for humans being creative, and it's just an evolution of technology. And then we spoke a bit about OpenAI's new ChatGPT, which is a chatbot that has just been released in the last week or two. If you haven't checked out already, give it a go, because I might actually talk about it on next Wednesday's show. It is a chatbot where you can pretty much ask it anything that it's not connected to the internet, but I mean, I'll give you a couple of examples. I asked it, and Brian's going to hate this, I asked it as a test earlier to write an incredibly 10 out of 10 positive review for the game Good Dog, Bad Dog, and it did it in 30 seconds. I'll just read you the opening line, Brian. Good Dog, Bad Dog is an absolute masterpiece of a game. From the moment you start playing, you are immediately drawn into the world of dogs, where you must use your cunning and quick reflexes to outsmart your opponent. And then the final line is, in short, Good Dog, Bad Dog is a must-play game for anyone who loves dogs, strategy, or just plain fun. I give it a perfect 10 out of 10.
The worst part is I've seen this review on another YouTube channel. Who shall not be named. No longer trusted by PSVR without parole.
But it has given me an idea for a game we could try sometime, because the other thing, a game cat in Discord before I came on, you know, haikus. I don't know if that is how it's pronounced, but it's the 3-line poems. It's very popular in Ghost of Tsushima.
We know what haikus are, Miles.
Yeah. But I just asked to write a haiku for Death Stranding, and it literally did it in like 2 seconds. I went, write a haiku for Death Stranding, and it went, in the ruins of Earth, the last survivors struggle on, hope lies with the courier. It's like,
wow.
Bold, man.
Yeah.
So I was thinking we could do a game where I get like 5 haikus for like PSVR games, and you've got to guess what the PSVR game is. Another time.
Sorry, artists, your time is over. The world no longer needs you.
Here's one haiku for a PSVR game.
I definitely consider myself an artist. So
it has really interesting implications. So look, this is something that's not going away. And in terms of how much this has blown up, the website, I mean, it's free to join and use. They want people using it because it's going to make it get better at learning. But someone had tweeted, just to give some perspective of how much it's grown. So here's the time it took to reach 1 million users for each of these platforms. So to hit 1 million users, Netflix took 3.5 years. Facebook did it in 10 months. Spotify did it in 5 months. Instagram did it in 2.5 months. And ChatGPT, this AI bot, has done it in 5 days. It's hit 1 million. Well, it's way over that now.
It's
because people.
It's not exactly a fair comparison, right? Because some of those platforms are paid.
That's true. That is true. Netflix is. Facebook, nah.
I mean, Instagram is probably the closest, right? It's like just here's some random thing I'm going to sign up for real quick, and at least that was close.
Yeah, and signing up for things has never been easy, because a lot of it you don't have to. You can just sign in with your Google account.
So Facebook. Click the Facebook button.
Yeah. But no, it's really interesting, and there's a lot of. I mean, just give it a go. But look, we'll do one of the PSVR games. So this was a haiku for a PSVR game. What is it, Brian? And Game Catch, you can guess as well.
Oh, this is fun. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
We'll see. In the virtual world, teams of mercenaries clash for control of the net.
I mean, my first guess would be Firewall.
It is Firewall, Brian. Well done.
Okay.
How about this one? So a Game Cat asked for a really, really not as well-known VR game. Oh, actually, no, I'm not saying it, because the first line of the haiku is the title of the game.
You probably could have snuck it past me.
It was, in the last labyrinth, trapped and alone, we search for hope, escape or be lost.
You probably could have snuck it by me if you didn't tell me that it was last labyrinth. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, last one, and then we'll wrap up, Ryan. In the forest glade, a small mouse sets out on a quest to save her uncle.
And suck tiny little mouse dicks. I mean, that's the first one. That is Moss Book 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it is. Anyway.
Endless amounts of fun we're having here, Miles. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us on this lovely Friday evening. And of course, I there's so many people who help me on a weekly basis. I want to make sure that nobody ever forgets just how important to me all the moderators of this channel are. They help me continuously over on Discord, over here, just making sure that everything remains civil. We appreciate you so very much. I appreciate you, and I'm sure without even knowing it, everyone here appreciates you guys. Also, Jay Meow, who puts this thing up on podcast services. Also, Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, who's the one who adds timestamps to this. Of course, AJ and Wes and Miles, who dedicate their time every single week to put on the best show that we possibly can. Stupid donkeys like tiny little mouse sticks. Yeah. Do you think mice have big horse dicks? It would just look weird, man. Tiny little mice have to have tiny little mice dicks. Mouse dicks.
It's all about proportion. Yeah.
It is. Thank you, Miles. Thank you, everyone who hung out today. Thank you, everybody who donated in the chat. Keeping the lights on. Thank you, everybody who supports us on patreon.com/withoutparole games. Thanks to everybody who helped Miles, especially Looper. And thank you, everybody who sat back and watched the show and say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a great weekend, Game Cats. Love you all. Much love. See you on Discord.
I love that there's a chat happening right now about, well, not all tiny little mice have tiny little mice sticks. Like some mice are female. This is true. Wow. All right, we just gotta go.
And I thought I was sleep deprived.
I feel sleep deprived right now, and this is, something's very off, and something's been very off since the beginning of the show. But I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
I feel like it's been a really good show. We've got through a lot of stories. Like emotionally, I don't feel like it's been a good show, but I know it has. Like we've like I don't know. I just feel terrible, but it's because I'm sleep deprived and like oh yeah.
All right, Miles, go to bed. Go to bed. I'm gonna I'm gonna get out of here.
No.
Yep.
No.
No.
I'm gonna go play Fortnite.
Okay. Behemoth. Behemoth. Can you just say it one more time for me?
Behemoth.
Love it.
Behemoth.
Love it.